Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I'm talking about a relatively new addition to the Jinhao lineup, and I mean relatively like within the last sort of 6 or so months. It is this pen, the X850. This is considered by some to be a new version of the X450 or the X750. I think it is very much a pen, a new sort of pen in its own right, and it is a nice pen. I quite like this. I'm going to talk about the parts and features, do a writing sample, talk about some pros and cons and all of that kind of stuff. So, starting at the top, simple dome, then we get the clip band. The clip is like a nice simple clip from Jinhao. They've had some awful clips over the years. This one's simple and clean. It is quite rigid, but it will hold nicely. The cap swells to that gold colored cap band there, which says Jinhao x850, and then the cap continues along, and then the barrel goes along down to taper slightly to this gold ring, and then to this simple domed black end. It is a screw cap, which is excellent, and that comes off in 1 2/3 turns, revealing the gold colored or brass colored threads there. A section that has these 3 cut out areas, which is once again quite reminiscent of a feature on the X450 fountain pen. And then that goes to a little, gold colored ring, and then the Jinhao nib there. This is the number 6 size nib, and it's a fine plastic feed, all of that. The barrel unscrews on some noisy threads to reveal a converter. It is a cartridge converter pen, and it comes provided with a converter on those metal threads, and then an O-ring at the top here that locks down onto to keep it nice and secure. It's a very simple, clean pen, classic design. The pen posts, and it posts okay. It's a little loose on the end there, but it's not going to go anywhere, and it makes a nice size in the hand. It is a heavy pen, particularly at the back of the pen, which I'll come back to later on. Doing a size comparison of this pen now, we have the Lamy Safari, of course. It is a classic, and it is a bigger pen than the Lamy Safari. I want to show it alongside a couple of other pens. Firstly, its little sibling from Jinhao, this X350, which is the new, another newer model, which I'm either have just reviewed or will just be reviewing, depending on when these are actually put out. It's a bigger pen than the X350. Some pens I showed it alongside the X350 alongside as well. The Sailor 1911 standard pen. So it's a bigger pen than that, similar aesthetic, similar design, as well as being a similar aesthetic and design to the Platinum Century 3776. Now, of course, it's gonna have elements in common with these pens. It's a black cigar-shaped fountain pen with gold trim. There's only so much inventing you can do. And then just for the sake of the exercise, here it is alongside the Jinhao X450. So you see it's a similar size pen, once again, some similar dimensions, some similar features, but I think the X450 is definitely a pen in its own right. Okay, so let's now look at these pens unposted, and you see that the X850 is smaller than the Lamy Safari in this format. Still not a small pen, but smaller than the Safari. And then if we post these pens, the Lamy Safari is still a longer pen, but really I think the Jinhao X850 is a very nice size, and in the hand it's good, even unposted, which is my preferred method of using it. It fits nicely in the hand. The dimensions of the X850, it's 145 millimeters when it is posted, when it's capped, sorry. It's 126 millimeters when it is uncapped. So for some people that might be a little bit small, but I think that's an okay size in the hand. And posted, it's 155. It posts relatively deep, but the problem with this is the weight of the pen. It's 38 grams, 23 in the body, 15 in the cap. So you are putting a good percentage of the pen's weight on the back when you post it. The section in that, like the fact that it sort of flares slightly with those triangular bits, goes from about 11 to about 10 millimeters. So it's a nice size. Let's do a writing sample now. And as you can see, I'm writing with the pen unposted. We have the Jinhao X850 with a steel number 6 size nib, and this is labeled as a fine, and I think it is a fine. In the X350 I have here, it's not labeled, and I kind of feel it's like a cross between a medium and a fine, unless I'm missing something. And you can see that if I, it's definitely broader there than the fine nib here on the X850. The ink I have in this is also Waterman Serenity Blue. You can already see from this writing sample, it writes quite wet, and I enjoy that a lot. Let's see this. I have to admit, this pen writes very well. It writes reliably and consistently, and it has from the moment I got it. It's smooth, and it's definitely, I would say, on the wetter side. Reverse writing is possible. It's actually relatively smooth. It's just a little bit drier and super, super fine. These are not soft nibs, but you can just get a little bit of line variation out of it if you're careful, and you are putting a large amount of ink down on the page. Quick writing. I have absolutely no concerns about how this pen writes. And that begs a question to me. If a pen that comes in, around-ish the 10 Australian dollar mark can write this well, out of the box without needing to be flushed, comes with a converter, why do more expensive pens fail in these basic duties of a pen? Just a question putting out there. So what are the pros and cons of the X850 from Jinhao? Well, cons. There are a few, to be perfectly honest. I'm not going to lie. Firstly, same thing, I have this issue with a few pens, particularly from Jinhao. That rattle noise of the converter against the inside of the brass barrel, I find annoying. But some people mightn't mind that. I think the balance of this pen is okay unless you post it. And when it's posted, it's just back heavy. This is not a light pen. At 38 grams, it sits in like a middleweight to almost heavy end of standard fountain pen sort of like weight measurements. It's brass. It's lacquered brass. It's metal pen. It's a nice weight in the hand, and it's nice and substantial, but the balance when you post it, it's out. The balance just goes out. So I write with this unposted. Some people will have an issue with the fact that this pen resembles a number of other pens. But as I said earlier, you can't keep reinventing a classic. It's a black cigar-shaped pen with gold trim, and there are things you can do that are different, like it doesn't have some of the cap band issues, and the clip is a little bit different, and all those kinds of things. But it is just a black cigar-shaped pen. It might be a bit boring for people, but I think it is a classic. The other thing is the grip section with those cutouts. They're not super comfortable. I don't love them. I do prefer the grip section on the X350. It's narrower, but that straight section is a much more pleasant writing feel for me. I think over time, more colours and finishes of this pen will come into the market, and I'm looking forward to that. As I'm looking forward to more nib sizes, all those kinds of things becoming more widely available. I think this is a pen that will stick around in the Jinhao output. It's a nice pen. Now, the pros, as I said, that nib, it writes beautifully. It's wet, it's generous, and it did that out of the box. I love it. I do like the size of this pen. It's not a big pen, but it's a comfortable, substantial size. It's very nice. The classic design is great. I love the fact that it comes with a converter, and more so, I love the fact that at this price point, it comes with a converter. So when you're reviewing pens from other brands that don't come with converters and you're paying hundreds of dollars for that pen, this is a good example of what, in my opinion, is the way things should be. So thank you for watching my review of the Jinhao x850. It's an interesting pen, a pen I really enjoy, and I think a good step forward in Jinhao in this style of pen. There's been a number of Jinhao pens recently, like the X159 or the Jinhao 80, for instance, that have done really lovely things in moving Jinhao forward as a brand, sort of keeping up with some of the other Chinese brands, but doing it in its own way, even if that way is copying the design of another pen. But yeah, thank you for watching this one. I hope you found it interesting and useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Please get in touch. If there's a way you'd like to support the channel, I would love to hear from you. But in the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.